Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card. Today's card I'm using a pretty simple technique where I'm stamping over another stamp. I'm going to be using the Penny Black Charming stamp. It's a rubber cling, and this herringbone stamp by Impression Obsession. It's a 6x6, and this sentiment from the Flower Patch Stampin' Up set. The first thing I'm going to do is stamp up my background with, I forgot to show you the top on that ink pad, but it's Hero Art Shadow Ink in Soft Granite. It's my favorite gray ink, and I'm going to make sure that I really press down so that I get all areas of my cardstock covered. And then I'm going to take my Penny Black Charming stamp, and I picked this stamp because it has a lot of open areas for color. I'm going to stamp it using some Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And now I'm going to off-center it, so it's going to be off to the left side because I'm going to trim off about 1/4 of an inch from the right side. I'm going to put even pressure all over to make sure I don't miss any spots. Alright, now I'm going to start with my Copics. I'm just going to use 3 violet colors, V12, 15, and 17. And this Hero Art Shadow ink is similar to the Simon Says stamp ink. It's got that formula in it that allows it to absorb over time, but it also reacts kind of a little oddly with Copics. It actually removes color. So it'll kind of remove a little bit of that background stamp, but you'll still be able to see part of it. And so you get a kind of a hint of the background behind the Copics. So I'm going to go ahead and color 3 of these different flowers here. And I'm not going to be too particular because you know the detail is not really showing that much because of the background stamp. So you don't have to be a perfect colorer to make this look good. So my light source is going to be coming from the right hand side as usual. And I'm just going to color these in here. And then for my other 2 flowers, I'm going to use Y1115, and you can't see it there, but it's YR04. So these colors are actually completely different, that orange one in the middle, so I really have a 2-tone flower. Now with this left one over here, I'm going to keep the orange just at the bottom. It's tempting to put it as a shadow area underneath that one petal that's going over, but I just covered that with Y15 if you saw. And I kind of did that the first time. I was like, no, it doesn't really go because the orange is really just supposed to be on the bottom. Now for my leaves, I'm going to speed this up too. It's YG41 and G07. Again, they're not very close together in color, so they're quite different, but with the background stamp, everything just seems to blend much easier. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to color all of these leaves. Now rather than having just plain black stems, I decided to take my G07 and just do a little line. You can see I'm kind of swiping it, so kind of brushing it on there almost, because it's much easier to get a straight line when you are brushing it than when you're trying to draw a straight line without lifting your pen off the paper. So try kind of making very small brush marks, and I think you'll find it a lot easier to get a straight line. Now that I've done all my coloring, my next step is to create a little pop of a shadow. So I'm taking C4 here, and I'm going to use probably about a 1/16 of an inch, maybe almost an 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to color to the side of my flower, and then this is C1, and I'm going to blend it out. And you don't have to be too exact. Again, the beauty of it is that you've got this background stamp that has ink on it that's sort of covering up any little mistakes you might be making. So I'm going to do this to basically all the different elements on this card, all the flowers and the leaves and also the stems. And notice that I'm not going all the way around the flower. I'm just doing it mostly on one side, but I might hit a couple of spots on the other side just to create a little bit more dimension. Now for the stems, I'm going to use just the C4. I don't want the stems to become too thick, so I'm aiming for kind of right on the stem or maybe a little bit toward the left, and it'll create just a little bit of the shadow that I need. Okay, I've got a little piece of Nina Solar White. I'm going to be stamping it in the lower right hand corner, and then I'll take my trimmer and trim it off on the top, and that makes sure that I get it really even because I use the bottom edge as kind of a ruler. So I'll trim them out so they're both the same distance from the side. And then I'm going to trim off that 1/4 inch from my main panel, and I'm going to adhere that with an ATG gun to the center of my card base, which is Nina Solar White 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch folded. And I had a little excess, so I just trimmed it with a scissor. And I'm going to create a little banner out of this. So what I like to do is I mark the center, and then I mark the edge of the banner. And what I'll do is I'll take my scissor and I'll just cut the edge of the banner, and then I'll cut from the corner to that midpoint on both sides, and then you have a perfect banner. So I'm just going to put some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, some foam adhesive on there, and I'll have it coming in from the right. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the card today. And oh, wait a minute, it's not perfect, so I'm going to pull it off. I'm going to adjust it just a tad, and then I'll push it back down there. These dimensionals are usually pretty forgiving in the first minute or so. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.